Hey everybody, it's me, Rick Acosta, the Dodger Card Collector, coming to you with another video. Tonight is Thursday, September 28th, another late night video. You'll probably be seeing this Friday the 29th or sometime over the weekend. Just a good time to make a video. Definitely, I would say it was the best time to make a video because um, I always like to talk about sports at the beginning of my videos. I just finished watching two games. The Lions pretty much beat up the Packers on Thursday Night Football, and also just finished watching the Seattle Mariners and the Texas Rangers. Baseball is down to the last three games of the season. In fact, as I record this, the Mets and the Marlins are in a rain delay, have been in a rain delay for almost 3 hours. And just before I came on, I noticed they're taking the tarp off. It's in the ninth inning. The Marlins took a 2-1 lead in the ninth inning, and the Marlins desperately need a win. So that's going to be really exciting. Going back to that Mariners Rangers game, the Mariners really needed that game. They were losing 2-1, I think, in the bottom of the ninth. And they had bases loaded, no outs. And all of a sudden, they couldn't get any runs across. Two outs, bases loaded, and they finally got a double at the end to win the game. So baseball is really exciting right now. I'm looking forward to the playoffs. You'll probably see me becoming a lot more stressed just because of what happens to the Dodgers every October. So we'll see. As I mentioned, football started its fourth week tonight. Lions and the Packers. Packers were never in this game. Lions just ran them over. So good to see the Lions playing well. I'm pretty happy for them. I'm a big Jared Goff fan. He used to obviously be the quarterback for my Rams, and it's just good to see him playing well. Hockey, we're in the preseason. I think opening night is about a week away, and NBA preseason is also going to be starting up soon. Big trade last night or yesterday. Damian Lillard was traded from Portland over to the Milwaukee Bucks in a three-way trade with the Phoenix Suns. So let's see what Milwaukee can do. I wouldn't mind seeing them win a game again. Naturally, I want to see the Lakers win before anybody. But after that, I like Milwaukee. So let's see what's going on hobby wise. I picked up some cards. I haven't picked. They haven't arrived yet. The Robert Edwards auction and the PWCC auctions ended on Sunday night, and I got pretty lucky there. So hopefully, I'll be showing those cards in the next few videos. Um, I told you a few weeks ago about my hockey card sets in binders were in sheets that were over 30 years old. And I've been slowly taking the sheets out of the old sticky sheets and putting them into nice new sheets. And I'm almost done. But it was funny. I had a realization, and something happened to me while I was putting the cards in the sheets. I mentioned to you my cards are like the first couple of seasons of Upper Deck hockey, some Tops cards, or actually some O-Pee-Chee cards from the 80s. And I also had this set that was a pretty big deal in 1990, 1991. That was the O-Pee-Chee Premier. I remember I was buying that was the era I was last buying wax ever. And I was buying a lot of hockey wax. I bought a lot of Score and Pro Set and Parkhurst, a lot of companies that don't exist. But one day I bought a pack of O-Pee-Chee Premier, a mall baseball card show in West Covina, California. And the big card back then, at least, there's a bigger card now, but back then, the big card was Sergei Fedorov. And I managed to win. I managed to get that card in the one pack I bought. So I guess over the years, like I mentioned to you in a previous video, I haven't looked at these cards in a good 30 years. And I go, oh, look, I forgot I had that O-Pee-Chee Premier set. So, I'm transferring the cards from the old sticky sheets to the new modern 2023 sheets. And all of a sudden I go, like I said, I haven't thought about this in 30 years. I go, oh, I'm missing two cards. It's a 132 card set. And I go, who am I missing? And I looked it up and I go, wonderful. The Yarmir Yager rookie and the Jeremy Roenick rookie card. And here I am going, I am such a completist that I was like, oh my God, now I'm gonna have to get these two cards. And I was lucky, I found the Roenick for $2. So I'm waiting for that to arrive in the mail. I do remember though, way back when, 30 years ago, that Roenick card cost like $10. And $10 for me in 1990 was, I was like, well, am I really going to spend $10 on a card? Well, I didn't have to because in 2023 I spent $2. It might have been $2.99. Yarmir Yager, that's a different story. I'm finding them for around $10 to $15, and eventually I'll get around to buying it. But I just thought it was funny that I thought I'd finished this set, and I go, God, I never finished it. I just sat on it for over 30 years. One of the things that happens as a YouTuber is I'm always constantly trying to figure out what I'm going to talk about. And I had an idea of what I was going to show you tonight, and it was kind of half-hearted, but I was like, going, well, what am I going to do? And then Brooks Robinson passed away, and I went, whoa, Brooks Robinson. And we could talk about Brooks, 16 consecutive Gold Gloves, played 23 seasons, the 1964 American League MVP, 18-time All-Star. He almost had 3,000 hits, 2,870. Loved his nickname, the Human Vacuum Cleaner. And a lot of people, including myself, talk about how ugly that 1958 Topps card is. I tend to notice more the 1975 card because of that little helmet he wore with the trimmed bit, just the trim up top. The bill of his helmet was cut, and he didn't have much room up there. But also, Brooks Robinson reminds me of my brother, and I remember growing up. My brother and I could not have been any different when it came to sports fandom. I am very old school. I root for the Dodgers, the Rams, the Lakers, the Kings, the hometown teams. I don't even root for the other so-called hometown teams. Don't root for the Angels. Don't root for the Clippers. Don't root for the Chargers. Did I miss somebody? The Ducks. I don't root for those teams. Um, and I've been loyal to those teams my entire life, even when the Rams moved to St. Louis for 20 years. My brother, on the other hand, was very different. He was a big Oakland Raiders fan in football. The only thing we did have in common was that we both liked the Lakers. Um, and he was a big Baltimore Orioles fan. I don't know why. Well, I do know why, because they were winning, and I guess my brother liked winning teams. And we're talking about like 1970, 1971, 1972. My brother was a huge fan of the Orioles. He talked about Brooks Robinson all the time. And he talked about Frank Robinson. He'd buy books about the Orioles. So I remember I still actually really do like the Baltimore Orioles. I've mentioned in previous videos from 1966 to 1983, they were arguably one of the best franchises in baseball. Two World Series titles in 1966 and in 1983. Oh no, I should say three because they also won in 1970. They have three additional American League championships, 1969, 1971, and 1979, and tons of American League West titles. So I did find myself rooting for the Orioles. I thought they were similar to the Dodgers, how they would always bring up players from the minors and have them grow with the team, and they'd become stars. And that doesn't happen anymore with free agency, but it was a good era. But when Brooks passed away, it reminded me a lot of my brother. And for those of you that don't know, my brother passed away we're going on almost 4 years now. And it just reminded me of my brother because he loved Brooks Robinson. And I know that Brooks Robinson was a kind man. I've been seeing some wonderful videos. Mike, the sports history collector, um, and Jake, Legends Never Die, did really nice videos about Brooks Robinson. So it's nice to see people talking about him. And that led me to changing my mind on what I'm going to do tonight because I noticed the Drew, a vintage legacy. I've had the good fortune of being on a couple of shows with him. Alex Bowman 53's show, Card Chat. We've done a couple of shows together. Drew's just a nice guy. He's always got a big smile, and he likes to talk about his childhood and card collecting, and that's what I like to do because I think card collecting isn't just about investing or having a 1957 Mickey Mantle and you have no clue about what sports or baseball is. Um, I think if Drew and I went to a ball game together, we'd have a lot to talk about, and I'd have a lot to talk about with some of you who happen to watch, just because I know we're big baseball fans, we're big sports cards fans or sports fans, and we're card fans, and I think I personally think if you're going to be a sports card collector, you should be a sports fan. I just think that's it's good to it's a good trait to have. So, so Drew wanted us to pick a franchise play, several, if we wanted to, several franchise players who played their entire career with one organization. By the way, one thing I forgot about to mention to you about Drew, if you've not seen his video of his card room, you have to check it out. It looks like a freaking museum, and I mean that in a really good way. Um, Drew asked us to pick franchise players, and I could have gone the easy route and chosen a bunch of Dodgers. It's like yeah, I could pick Sandy Koufax and Don Drysdale and even Clayton Kershaw, and I'm like that's too easy. So I decided instead, in honor of Brooks Robinson, in honor of my brother, I thought I would pick three Baltimore Orioles because we always talk. Brooks Robinson. Yeah, he is Mr. Baltimore when it comes to the Orioles. But boy, the Orioles had a few other guys that you got to talk about. So I'm going to turn the camera around because I've been rambling and talking too much, and we're going to show you a few cards, guys. All right, here we go. Okay, so let's talk about some players that I picked. Obviously, my first choice is going to be Brooks Robinson. And I brought to you, I'm going to show you three cards and the reasons why I picked them. The first one on the left is his 1957 Topps rookie card. And I was able to pick that up earlier this year at the Burbank Card Show. And that was the last card I needed to finish the 1957 Topps set. Now, the second card in the middle, the 1967 Topps card, card number 600, that one has a lot of meaning for me because when I was a kid, 14, 15 years old, this card was very hard to get and was very expensive. We knew at that age that this was like a big card. People already, we're talking 1979, 1980, people were already talking about that 1967 high number set and how brutal it was. And, buying a you'll laugh now, but buying a Rod Carew rookie or a Tom Seaver rookie or this card would cost you, God, I think like $35. And $35 was astronomical back then. So I bought this card a few years ago just because at the time I wanted a Brooks Robinson card for my display wall, of which the 57 card is now prominently displayed there. But this card, I bought it at first just because I do remember wanting this card as a kid, and we all talked about the 1967 high numbers and that Brooks Robinson card, how expensive it was. Now, the next card I picked, as I mentioned to you earlier, was the 1975 Topps card. And the reason I selected this was because here's a perfect example of Brooks Robinson's helmet. And I think I'm going to move this up a little here just so you can see. Look at the way he had that bill is just pretty butch cut, more than half. How the league allowed that back then, I will never know. But he just had the ugliest helmet for several years because I do remember he wore this a lot during the 70s. But it's a great card, and I I remember I was watching one of Mike Moynihan's videos where they were talking about the All-Star cards. And from the 70s, my favorite would be the 75, just because I loved when they had the star down here. And but this Brooks Robinson card, it's just a great card. What's funny is when you look at Brooks Robinson's cards, a lot of his cards are batting. He has very few cards where he's fielding. I mean, he won 16 Gold Gloves, but a lot of his cards are of him batting. And two of the three cards I'm showing, all three of these, he's not fielding. So let's see what else we've got. Now, when you talk about the Orioles, you obviously start with Brooks Robinson, but Jim Palmer is another franchise player that the Orioles had. And in fact, Jim Palmer had a very nice tribute to Brooks Robinson a couple of nights ago on the Orioles broadcast, and I think you could find that easily on Twitter, potentially YouTube. And Jim really broke down, and he and Brooks remained friends till the end. And Jim Palmer played 19 seasons with the Orioles, 3-time Cy Young Award winner, a Hall of Famer. He also won, he did win 3 World Series, 1966 and 1970 and 1983. And after his career with the Orioles, yeah, a lot of you will remember he went to ABC and did color commentary for baseball, but he also continued to work for the Baltimore Orioles, and he's still there to this day announcing Orioles games. So, talk about a franchise player. He has been with the Orioles for 60 years in some type of, he's been with the organization in some way, shape, or form. So definitely that would be another career player, franchise player, I should say. And if you're going to talk about franchise players, the Baltimore Orioles have another guy. That's Cal Ripken Jr. 2,632 consecutive games. He played for 21 seasons, 3,184 hits, 2-time MVP, won a World Series back in 1983. And I think a lot of the younger crowd, when you talk about the Orioles, they think Cal Ripken Jr. Just a great player. I'm doing him a disservice by not talking about a lot of things that other people will talk about, but I wanted to keep I wanted to keep the biographies on all three of these guys kind of short, but I just wanted to show you that back then the Orioles, they had a few franchise players there, and there's a few guys I didn't even throw in there. Their manager Earl Weaver, or some guys from their pitching staff, and the Orioles are really a great franchise, and it's wonderful. I saw that they won tonight. I think that's their 100th victory of the year. I wouldn't mind seeing them do something here in the playoffs, just to be a little different. All right, you guys. Drew, this is a great idea to do, pick a franchise player. And for those of you that stuck around, thanks so much. And we'll talk to you in the next video.
It's a beautiful day for a